Welcome to FBB Forum. I'm very pleased to welcome the stunning NPC women's physique competitor Hannah Steeby to the podcast. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. Hannah has been competing in bodybuilding, and since this year, this is actually her first year, which is really amazing considering her physique. And her most recent show was the NPC Junior Nationals, where she presented a really standout physique. Stay tuned to find out where she's going to be competing next. And welcome to the podcast, Hannah. It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah, you really stood out when I saw the pictures from Junior Nationals. And yeah, I think you have a bright future in the sport for sure.
I appreciate it. We can only hope that, right?
Yeah, I think you'll get a pro card pretty soon here.
Fingers crossed.
Now, my first questions are just about how you got started in bodybuilding. And I was wondering if you had an athletic or sports background before you started in the sport.
I did. I went to college for softball. I graduated at Emporia State in 2020, and then I continued to get my master's out there. And unfortunately, COVID ruined my senior year, so I just ultimately gave up softball. I hung up the cleats.
Mm-hmm.
I started with CrossFit, and that was in 2014. I ended my CrossFit career in 2017, and I switched over to the bodybuilding side of things. And that was all because of a strength and conditioning coach I had.
Okay.
He kind of introduced me to the sport, and I kind of fell in love with it very quickly. I wasn't growing in CrossFit. Like, I wanted to get big, I wanted to get muscles, and I was just shrinking, and I hated that. And
Okay.
so that's kind of how it opened up the door for me.
That's terrific. That's so cool. Now, who did convince you to do your first contest for bodybuilding?
I do have to shout this guy out. It's a buddy of mine at a gym here in St. Joe. His name's Gary.
Okay.
He has been on me for the last probably 4 years to do a show. And I have the fear of people looking at me and judging me. I don't like eyes on me.
Sure.
And especially getting in a bikini that doesn't cover much, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
That's not me at all. So there was just a moment in time where I was looking at myself in the mirror at the gym, and I was like, might as well do it. And so I found my first coach, and we just started prepping away. We started that first prep in January of this year.
Wow, that's so cool. That's great. Yeah. That's a question I wanted to ask you is did you when you first started going on stage, did you feel kind of nervous up there in the bikini or did you are you getting more comfortable with it now you've got a couple shows under your belt?
I'll be honest, when my foot hit that stage, I was not nervous at all. It was everything else leading up to that point of me getting on that stage. I
Mm,
was freaking out. I may have not shown it, but my nerves were out of this world. But as soon as I got on that stage, everything just like clicked for me. So
mm.
I was really appreciative of that moment. Honestly, yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, your posing was really good too. Did you get a lot of posing practice in before you first hit the stage?
Well, we did check-ins every day leading up to the show from a, a week out, I believe. So, I mean, I was getting that constant mandatory poses down to a T, but I only drove out to Arkansas to meet Brooke once, and that's when we put my final routine together. So,
Wow.
honestly, that final routine was I got one time to do it with Brooke, and then the rest was on me
Wow.
to perfect it. Yeah, so I mean, it all flowed so well together, and now that I've continued to do it, it's like second nature at this point, which it's never going to be perfect, but you got to keep working at it.
Yeah, definitely. That's true. And the Brooke you mentioned is Brooke Walker, who's an Olympian. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
sure.
that's pretty cool that you worked with her. But she's not your coach now, is that right?
Mm-mm, no.
Very cool. What was it like working with Brooke? I bet she was pretty awesome.
Oh shoot, it was amazing. I mean, just learning, because ultimately that's where I want to be one day. I want to step on that stage one day. So
Yeah,
to be able to work with her and like see the things that she does, to take in her critiques, her advice, it was amazing to work with her those, 28 weeks or whatever we did. Um,
very good.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Do you think you'll try to get to the Olympia this year to down to Orlando? Because it'd
This
be
is my like me or to watch her do it.
yeah, maybe watch her do it.
If I can get off work.
Uh, yeah, that's cool. I understand. Yeah. It's going to be a great show. I live in Tampa, so it's pretty close for me. So I'm excited about it being back here again.
Lucky.
Yeah, I'm so glad that they're alternating. It seems between Las Vegas and Orlando, so that's a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Now, I was curious if you have a bodybuilding role model that you look up to.
Hmm. I follow so many people on social media, David, and Sarah is one of the biggest ones that stick out to me. I mean, Brooke as well. I mean, I've been following Brooke way before I even hired her as, my coach.
Yeah.
I would say there's Brooke, Sarah, Michaela Acox, and then Natalia. I mean, and Andrea Shaw. I mean, those are the top two that are top whatever. Sorry, I have prep brain right now,
Oh
and
no. Worries.
I am on day 2 of no carbs, so my speaking abilities are pretty low right now. But yeah, those are my top 5 probably that I look up to.
Oh, you're doing fine, by the way. Yeah. No, that's a great lineup. That's like a stellar lineup right now for sure. Yeah.
So it's gonna be a good show this year. I definitely agree. I definitely think that for sure.
I think so too. Yeah, I'm really excited, and to get to see those ladies in person is amazing. And I hope the Meet the Olympians is great because you get to really talk to them and stuff. So it's pretty neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my next few questions are about prep, and I was curious, what would you say is the toughest aspect of competition prep for you?
I'm a very regimen person. Like I don't mind the eating on certain times. Yes, it's hard because I work at a hospital, so I may be like 25 minutes late on that first meal or whatever. It's not the cardio, it's not the working out, it's not anything. It's me doing it alone that
Mm,
I really struggle with.
mhm,
It's I would love to have somebody to go to the gym with me, push me, and go do the cardio, go to the grocery store with me. It's lonely, I'll be honest.
mhm,
And
sure.
I think I have been in prep for so long that it that is the one thing that I am constantly thinking about.
Mhm,
And but at the end of the day, I can say that I did this by myself. I got through it by myself, and you know, people do it all the time. I'm sure that there's a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of physique competitors out there that are doing it alone, and they choose to do it alone. And I'm ultimately choosing to do it alone, but
mhm.
it's kind of crappy to do it alone.
I understand that. Yeah. Now that you're kind of getting your name more out there, maybe, find a training partner would be good. That would be
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you talked about St. Joe and is that would you find that kind of a supportive community for bodybuilding or no?
You don't see it a lot. There are a couple guys at my gym that compete and stuff, and I have a great support staff there. And my family, of course, is so supportive, and my coworkers are so supportive. But at the end of the day, I'm coming home alone, and then
Hmm.
I gotta go to the gym alone. I mean, and at this point in prep, David, I go to the gym, I don't speak to anybody, I get my shit done, and I want to go home.
Sure.
So it is to that point where it's like, oh man, like you got to do it again. You got to do it again. But I do have a great support system here. Absolutely.
That's great.
Fitness is not, like you said, you're out in Tampa. Everybody wants to look good with their shirt off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're, we're in the Midwest and nobody cares about that.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
You're in St. Joseph, Missouri, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 I know what you mean. Yeah. At least, well, I would think the weather would be better there now. I've been in the Midwest in the winter or in the summertime, but I think it's pretty damn hot there right now too. So maybe
It's
not.
very humid. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Just the healthy lifestyle, advocates aren't very popular here, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, yeah. And being kind of a smaller city too, yeah. Um, Now I was curious, do you have a hard time dealing with that kind of transition? Well, you're so new competing, but between the off-season shape and your competition shape, or have you even kind of gone through that cycle yet?
Yeah, there was a moment where after Tennessee, we I had 2 days of being able to eat, kind of what I wanted. My coach did not want me to be an asshole and so plunge into food, but if I wanted to go eat Chipotle, I could go have Chipotle.
Hmm.
And I started eating and like I started to bloat so easy. And we were gonna do Pittsburgh, which is 10, that was from Tennessee to Pittsburgh, that was 10 weeks out.
Hmm.
And I didn't there was a moment before we had even discussed that I was like, I don't want to be done because I don't want to lose this physique that I have right now.
Hmm.
I love my prep physique. And is it healthy? No, it is not healthy to stay where I'm at. So
Hmm.
I think that is probably going to be my hardest issue to get into that off season body.
Hmm.
But ultimately in the long run, it's going to help me be a better competitor for sure.
Yeah, that's true. You need that time to grow and let your body heal and stuff too. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I understand that. Do you kind of feel, do you have a kind of a body dysmorphia? Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I think all bodybuilders go through that too.
I've struggled with it my most of my life, and I will never be satisfied with what I see in the mirror. And ultimately, that is a good thing because
Mhm.
it keeps me hungry.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a good thing for a bodybuilder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned working at the hospital. What do you do there, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm a cardiovascular exercise physiologist.
Oh, very cool.
So kind of what that is we see cardiac patients or patients that need transplants or things like that. And we ultimately kind of put them in a heart attack mode. We stress them in a way just to see how their blood flow is through their heart and stuff like that. I mean, I love my job, but I drive an hour every day for work.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of my downfall right now, especially in prep. It seems like it's about a 5 hour drive.
Oh,
So,
yeah. It's an hour each way?
uh-huh.
Oh, really? Wow, that's kind of rough on you. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
I bet that would be rewarding though. Have you had folks actually get a real heart attack?
No, knock on wood, but I've only encountered one code my entire time there. So
Really?
yeah. So knock on wood for me, but yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that would be kind of stressful
Yeah.
to have actually somebody code like that, I bet.
It's a very stressful job if that happens, yes.
Yeah. Now, do you find it hard to kind of juggle your bodybuilding career with your career?
Yeah. Especially like right now when you're in the heat of prep. I don't want to work. I don't want to talk to people, like I said. But at the end of the day, I also have to pay for things. I have, bills to pay and stuff. And
Mhm.
I need to show up and do my job there. And then I need to show up and do my job in prep.
Mhm.
So, like the eating on time, that's the thing I struggle with most. I still get my water in. I still, can do that. But it's eating on a scheduled time that's kind of the hardest thing that I face right now.
Sure, I understand. Yeah, I bet that would be tough.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm. Cool. Yeah. Um, Now my next few questions are about coaching. And do you have a prep coach now or an opposing coach?
I don't have a posing coach. I've kind of just been doing that myself. My coach now does help me His girlfriend just turned pro in national at Junior Nationals. His name is Justin Kelly. He's out of St. Louis, so he's closer to me, so we can meet easier that way.
Good.
He's prepped his girlfriend throughout her whole journey, and so he's kind of understanding the more women's physique, posing and stuff, and he's just
Mhm.
awesome. He's a very smart, intellectual dude, and he has definitely changed my physique in the best way possible. I have never looked this good, so I'm excited to show it.
That's awesome. What's his girlfriend's name that got the pro card?
Elizabeth Snyder. I don't know if I said it right, but I call her Liz. But yeah,
Wow, that's awesome. That's congrats to her on the pro card too. That's awesome.
yeah, she looked phenomenal.
Yeah, that's so cool. Was she in your class?
No, she is figure.
Oh, she's in figure. Oh, excuse me. I see. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Um, and I was curious, like, what advice could you give to up and coming bodybuilders who are looking for a coach?
Don't expand out. I mean, ask multiple people and then kind of see if they are going to tailor to you. Some
Mhm,
coaches have certain ways where they are just going to stick by the book and do what works for them. If they aren't going to tailor to you, and if you have digestive issues, if you have, whatever it may be, they're not tailoring to you, then I ultimately don't think that's probably your best route.
mhm,
I
mhm,
also think you need a coach that is, I get it. Coaches also have a life. This is not their full-time job. Some it is, but like my coach, he's a chiropractor, so he's also doing
mhm,
another job. But I think a open line of communication is a huge thing, and I learned my lesson on that one. And
mhm,
I felt as if Brooke is busy. Brooke is so busy, and as she should be. She's an Olympian,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
I felt as if was my first show. I needed somebody that was constantly like talking back with me just because I had those nerves, and
Yeah, sure.
I'm I'm still new to this world, and I just felt very in the unknown, and you know and no hard feelings whatsoever. I am so grateful that I met Brooke and she got me to where I was. It's just you have to be specific in what you need in a coach, and if they don't have it, then that's okay to move on,
Hmm.
because ultimately this is not their career, it's your career. So
That's good advice. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And yeah, especially for somebody new, I think, because yeah, like you said, getting over the nerves and just being new and just learning as you go. But yeah, that's good. Very good. We'll include his Instagram down below if it's okay later and
yeah,
give him a
yeah.
plug too. Yeah. Um, my next question we already or talked about. So my next few questions are about competing, and so this is where I want to ask you, where and when are you going to compete again?
I fly out July 26th to USA's in Las Vegas.
All right,
Step on stage the 28th for prejudging and hopefully make top five so I can step on stage again the 29th and do my final routine.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
This is
so
my last
cool.
show. Last show of the year and then off season for me. So
I bet you'll be kind of relieved when it's done.
yeah, ultimately when I'm done with this show, it'll be 36 weeks of prep that I've been in. So that's a bit rough.
Yeah, I know. And you're going to compete in physique and bodybuilding or just physique?
Just physique.
Okay, terrific. Yeah, that's great. And you're in class A, right?
I am 5'3", so I'm going to be in class B that goes up to 5'4", I believe.
Oh, class B. Oh, terrific. Okay, very good. Yeah. No, best wishes to you there. I think you're going to do great down there and you're going to wow the judges.
I hope so. That's what we can only hope.
That's great. Yeah. And I was curious, like, how has your competition season gone so far this year? Do you feel like you've been making some progress in terms of competing?
Um, in terms of competing from my first show to junior nationals, so from Omaha Pro to junior nationals, I didn't feel like I made a tremendous amount of like muscle growth.
Hmm.
And, I was still depleted and I only had 2 more weeks. I had 2 weeks of prep left between those two shows. So, I mean, you're not going to make much muscle growth right there. You're
Hmm.
just going to maintain. But between those two shows, those 2 weeks of prep, I have diverticulitis. I suffer with diverticulitis.
Hmm.
I had flare-ups really bad. So I wasn't being able to go to the restroom. I had stomach pains that were out of this world, terrible.
Hmm.
And so that was something I struggled with prep. Well, from junior nationals to now, I have put on about 3 pound, 4 pounds of solid muscle. So
Wow.
I weighed in at junior nationals at 121. And so I'm sitting at 125 right now, and the feedback that I got from nationals were I need more mass on the legs and a wider back.
Okay.
And we've done just that, and that's for sure. So I feel like me and Justin collectively came together and we made a plan that that's what we were going to do, and we incorporated some new supplements that were going to help with my digestive health. And I mean, he just went above and beyond helping me, and my digestive system has never felt this great. And
Good.
with everything else that we put in our bodies, I mean, I'm grateful that I feel this good. So
That's great. How long have you suffered from the diverticulitis?
I was diagnosed with it 3 years ago.
Really? Oh, wow. That's a pain. Yeah. Do you, yeah. How often do you get the flare-ups and stuff?
I haven't had a flare up since between those two shows from the first time I was diagnosed with it. And they prescribed, an antibiotic. Well, a side effect of one of those antibiotics is bloating.
Oh,
So we did not want to chance it and take that medication and have me bloat and me hold water by any means.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that. Oh, wow. That's good
Yeah.
that you haven't had a flare-up in a while, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I had mentioned to you earlier, your abs are just so awesome. So you don't want to make sure you keep those abs.
I know. I need to keep them in tip top shape.
I know that's true. Yeah, your abs and pecs really stand out. It's very
Thank
impressive.
you. Thank you.
Now, and you mentioned about feedback from judges, but I was curious, in terms of your physique, what would you say is your favorite muscle group and what's your least favorite?
My least favorite is probably going to be hamstrings, and my most favorite is going to be my delts, pecs, and abs.
Awesome. Yeah. You feel like you need to bring up your hamstrings though, or is it just hard to
I
train?
I mean, I completely agree with what the judges came back to me as. I need mass on my legs. And
Mhm.
also, I freaking go hard on leg day. I'm not lying. I am just a small framed girl. I
Mhm.
am only 5'3", and you know, I'm very small framed, and I can't help that.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think I necessarily had the perfect off season before Omaha Pro to where, I had mass on my legs or anything like that. Like I said, this is new to me. And
Mhm.
so I like it, I can only get better from here.
And you did Class A at Junior Nationals, is that right?
So there was only 2 classes for junior nationals, and the way that
Oh,
that worked was class A was 5'2" to 5'6".
okay.
So I was going up with women that were, I had to look up to, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, oh my God. And they had at least like 10 pounds of muscle on me. So they
Mhm.
didn't go by weight there. So I'm not sure why we didn't discuss like me adding some weight on, adding some
Mhm.
muscle. But yeah, we just kept it the same and kept it consistent, which I understand that too, just for any bloating issues or retention issues. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I understand. That is tough. And that's kind of interesting, I think, in the pros because there's no lightweight and heavyweight. So there's, a tiny woman next to this huge woman, and it just, yeah, it doesn't balance out that well, and it looks
Yeah, I
odd on
know.
stage.
Yeah, no, it does not balance out well. I was trying to stand on my tippy toes when they were taking my height. But
I understand. Yeah, that is tough. Yeah. Oh man. Um, um, I was curious in terms of, I know you're new to the sport, but from what you've observed so far, if you were in a leadership position with NPC or IFBB, what would you do to improve the sport of bodybuilding, and how would you make the sport better?
I think it is so focused on the men's side of things, and
Mhm.
maybe I'm biased for that, but I feel like broadcasting that the women's side, is just as equal as the men's. And another thing is like, me and George talked about like compensation or whatever it may have been, and I don't know really how that works, and I may just be sticking my foot in my mouth, but I think athletes do deserve a compensation at NPC level, and I know you can earn your pro card that way as well, but or
Mhm.
national level, and I just think they charge so much for these shows and the tan and the makeup that they can give a little back. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
they charge quite a bit for the tickets too, for the fans as well.
Yeah, my family is not coming to USA's just because of how much the spectator fees are.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's expensive. The Olympia fees are really sky high, but that's just kind of you just have to kind of, um, yeah, just kind of swallow your pride
Well,
and buy.
it's the Olympia, so I would do it for that.
It is, yes, the Olympia. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I do wish that the prize money was better for the women because, yeah, the prize money is just not comparable to the men at all.
Uh-uh.
hmm Now I was curious when you're out in public, and I know you're in the Midwest, so you can't, sometimes it's freaking cold out there, but do you like to show your muscles off in public, or do you prefer to keep them covered?
I'm always covered.
Yeah,
I'm always covered. I'm the type of person that I wear the sweatshirt in the gym until I'm dripping sweat, and then I'll take it off.
really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. And you had mentioned earlier about your family, but I was just curious, are they supportive of your bodybuilding journey, and
Oh,
do they
absolutely, yeah. At first, my mom was kind of skeptical about it just because she didn't want me putting that, like, my body through all that stuff. And,
Mhm.
I did that first show in Omaha, and she saw how happy and that it just fit me and that this was something that I could be really good at. And so then I did Junior Nationals, and I went through all that diverticulitis flare up, and I was in some pain, and I didn't like placing third. I don't like placing anything but first. And
Mhm.
when I got home from Tennessee, I had met with Justin, and we had talked about doing Pittsburgh, and that was 10 weeks away. Well, I called him into the living room, and I was like, "So I want to talk with you guys." And the first thing out of her mouth was, "You're doing another show, aren't you?"
Mhm.
I was like, I said, "Yeah, I'm not done yet, but this is going to be my last one. I'm getting that pro card." So,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great that they're so supportive too.
yeah, my dad loves it. He's like, he looks up videos on the internet, and he's like, "You should try this pose." I mean, they're just great. They are.
That's terrific. Yeah, I've talked to a few ladies on this podcast whose parents are not so supportive, and I can tell that it kind of bums them out. But I think having that support structure is really important. And yeah, no, that's terrific that both your parents really supportive like that.
Yeah.
Are they in St. Joseph also?
Yes, they are.
Oh, very cool. Oh, that's cool that they're there to help you out too. So yeah. Um, Now I was curious if you find it hard to juggle social media demands, and I think you're in your 20s, aren't you?
I'm 25. Yeah.
So, like I said in my questions, I think it might be second nature to you, but or maybe you haven't kind of taken off with your following yet. I was just curious about that.
Well, I haven't taken off with my following. I don't think so. But after that first show, I had like DMs on top of DMs. I had follows. Well, now just recently, I've become a part of the first forum community.
Yeah.
So I'm a Legionnaire now, and you know what we have to do to get the brand out is be social media advocates.
Sure.
And you know, right now during prep, I'm just exhausted. I don't want to take the time of day to post or do this or that, and I really don't like posting that much because I feel like I'm annoying everybody else. Um,
Oh no, I don't think so.
but
Yeah.
no, that's something I've gotten used to quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to at least, you know, it's a work in progress.
How about, do you have to deal with trolls, unfortunately? Because I know there's some trolls out there that are kind of nasty and
Oh, I've gotten some interesting DMs over the past couple months of me competing.
yeah,
Very interesting. Yeah.
there's a lot of jerks out there, a lot of assholes for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm just like, what in your right mind thinks that I'm gonna, why would you say that? But yeah. Anyways.
Well, there's a lot of good fans out there too. So yeah, so you got to take the good with the bad, I guess, with
Yeah,
bodybuilding
exactly.
and social media. Yeah.
Exactly.
um, I was curious, in terms of social media, I know Instagram is kind of probably the most popular with bodybuilding, but do you have other social media outlets that you like to use?
I do have a TikTok. I suck at posting on there though. And
Mm,
I do have a Facebook, but those are the only three platforms I really use.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I think Instagram is definitely taken off as the
Oh, for
preferred,
sure. Yeah.
and it makes sense because it's so picture focused and video focused, I think. Yeah. Um, okay, cool. The only other thing I wanted to ask you, is there anything that I should have asked you, but I neglected to, that you like to tell the fans and competitors?
Hmm. I know George asked me what was my biggest piece of advice if anybody was wanting to get into this sport.
Yeah, that'd be
I,
great.
you know, I want to make it known that, you know, it's a selfish sport, especially with if you're surrounded by people that necessarily don't understand you or understand the process of what prep takes and what this lifestyle is like, then be prepared to lose people.
Hmm.
I think my biggest lesson during this prep that I've been in is controlling who's in your circle.
Hmm.
You know, I want people in my circle that are going to value my life and value my bodybuilding career and ultimately push me to be the best competitor that I can be. And, you know, if they're not and they're not bringing um, that value in my life, I'm not going to have them in my corner because prep is hard as is, you know, and showing up for yourself day in and day out is hard as is. And you know, if you have those little trolls in your life and people that are just bringing you down, it's going to make it 10 times harder.
Hmm.
So my biggest piece of advice was be prepared to lose people, but ultimately find those people that fit your circle.
That's really good advice. Yeah, I think, and I have heard that from other folks about, sometimes your friends want to go out and party, and you can't go out. You got to get to bed early and focus on your training, and you can't
Yeah.
be drinking and eating too much and stuff too. So,
Yeah, yeah. And you
yeah.
got the people that make fun of what you eat and stuff like that. And you know, I don't make fun of what you eat. I don't even give a shit what you eat.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, like it's just those types of things, you know, I've realized they can either make you or break you in a prep. And I have been very close to breaking in this prep just because of how long I've been in prep, I think. And my stress levels are high. And, you know,
Hmm.
unfortunately, I have suffered from some edema this prep
Hmm.
and that's weighed on me a little bit and you know it's just getting down to it but yeah ultimately having a circle that is for you and not against you is my biggest piece of advice.
Sure. That's good, very good advice. One
Thank
thing I
you.
was curious about before I forget was I was curious if your softball teammates, do you still keep in touch with them since you started bodybuilding?
There are a couple that you know we talk here and there but ultimately no.
That's cool. I was just curious. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
You
As I mentioned at the beginning, if you could do a quick flex and then say something real quick though.
what do you want me to say when I flex? You
Oh,
want me to
it's just to get the camera on you.
all right here you guys go.
All right. You look great.
Thank you. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Hannah. Thank you
it.
so much. Really appreciate you coming on board for the podcast. And we'll get this posted soon and get your Instagram and your coach's Instagram and stuff up too.
All right, perfect. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Hannah. Take
Have
care.
a
Thank you.